He Shu was one of the tower's absolute monsters, fully capable of flipping the board if he ever showed up. But to stay hidden, he worked missions in silence for 50 years, happily living in the shadows. A rubber mask became mandatory drip, keeping him alive among power-hungry lunatics. After dying, he woke up 20 years later in a trash-tier body and had to grind from zero again. Even worse, the locals worshipped him like a god, gifting him stress he couldn't dodge. To see where fate derailed, he had to reconquer the tower's 8th floor. Floor 8 was pure chaos, the land gasping like a corpse before disaster. He Shu coldly set the goal: kill the 8th floor guardian, because retreat was off the table. Lose here and floor 9 stays a mystery, making every sacrifice a bad joke. He Shu narrowed his eyes as a familiar group appeared, his instincts screaming plot twist incoming. From the crowd, a masked man stepped out, his presence alone weighing down the air. Saiba Lu arrived calmly, proving he always shows up early when danger spikes. He Shu knew the other factions were just here to scavenge the power Saiba Lu once ditched. Saiba Lu gripped his sword, hinting that what they wanted had been in his pocket all along. A glowing object appeared, the status panel flashing the blessing of the Great Archangel. Saiba Lu handed the blessing to He Shu, just in case, since he planned to tank the front line. He Shu bowed in silence as the offer to return to Azure Eye stabbed his buried regrets. A violent roar erupted, and Saiba Lu warned the enemy had spawned early. The poison dragon Hydra revealed itself, many heads screaming as it attacked with zero warm-up. Saiba Lu sighed, judging the freak as a badly warped power accident. The system activated, and Saiba Lu declared today was Death's workday. When He Shu ordered a retreat from Dragon Breath, Saiba Lu blocked the way, unfazed. Saiba Lu drew his sword, touching forbidden power and choosing a head and finish. A space-ripping slash flew out, darkness colliding straight into the monster's might. Watching this, He Shu sighed. Saiba Lu never changes, always picking the riskiest win. After the slash, the team erupted in hype, their training finally paying rent. Lina doubted the item Saiba Lu gave UCG, but he kept it secret to avoid chaos. Saiba Lu asked if everyone was ready, since this fight allowed zero hesitation. The whole team charged, burning everything to kill the lizard god and clear floor 8. Amid the chaos, only He Shu stayed back, watching like it was all on schedule. A mysterious figure reported the ambush forces were in place, confirming the backup plan. He Shu smirked and gave the order to begin, done hiding his real role. He Shu stared at the battlefield, ice-cold and unmoved by lives thrown into the grinder. The poison dragon blasted lightning, instantly pushing the fight into lethal mode. Some fighters rushed in recklessly, forcing allies to scream warnings to save their skins. Even in danger, Lina kept mocking teammates, proof they lived on the death line. Yisaki taunted everyone into a damage contest, turning a deathmatch into a mad race. The team spread out to surround the beast, forcing it into a totally losing position. Blades rained nonstop, everyone eager to finish it before it clapped back. Seeing the monster fall, Yisaki apologized to Kunuo, realizing Shed tanked too much. Kunuo raised a massive shield, becoming a living wall for the whole team. He Shu suddenly appeared behind Kunuo, giving her zero time to react. He Shu coldly punished Kunuo, calling it the price of overconfidence. Hearing the desperate cry, Saiba Lu turned back, sensing disaster behind him. Saiba Lu saw He Shu smiling coldly, and in that moment all trust shattered. He Shu taunted Saiba Lu, forcing him to choose between rage and survival. As Saiba Lu faltered, the poison dragon closed in, turning emotion into a lethal opening. The system panel appeared, the tower officially choosing Saiba Lu and dragging him into fate. Not knowing who pulled the strings, everyone still had to obey and keep climbing. When the dust settled, the poison dragon's corpse lay stilled, marking floor 8 conquered. As the battle ended, heroes fell, proving this victory was paid for in obscene amounts of blood. Saiba Lu roared in fury, blaming everyone for ignoring the retreat order against the immortal Hydra. Watching comrades die at his feet, Saiba Lu was furious they dared die without his permission. The system spammed poison alerts, region locked, and Saiba Lu's body began betraying him. A cold notice rang out: hit 100 fatigue and death becomes non-negotiable. Saiba Lu stared straight at He Shu, demanding an answer for the backstab. He Shu confessed he'd waited 10 years just for this moment to face Saiba Lu. He admitted betrayal was the only way to drag Saiba Lu into the trap, or Azure Eye would have erased everyone. Bitterly, He Shu said the gifts Saiba Lu gave were what crushed him, so he chose the world over him. He mocked that there was no need to return the gift, since Azure Eye would vanish with Saiba Lu. Saiba Lu replied coldly that He Shu only ever heard what he wanted to hear. Checking his status, Saiba Lu knew survival was impossible if this dragged on. But he refused a meaningless death, choosing to make his final moment count. The system revealed the legendary skill Aeolus, making He Shu show fear for the first time. Saiba Lu realized he had 4 uses left, enough to buy others a chance to live. Confirming 4 Azure Eye members were still alive, he knew why he had to stay. He Shu screamed orders to hunt them down, refusing to let a single one escape. Saiba Lu burned everything to pin the enemy in place, buying his allies time to retreat. Ignoring his limits, Saiba Lu unleashed Thunder King Descends, accepting self-destruction to stall all. Fatigue skyrocketed, his body hitting collapse range while his will stayed unbroken. He warned coldly that anyone standing here would pay with their life. Saiba Lu declared that from now on, no one leaves without the Thunder King's approval. Cornered, the enemy chose a suicidal charge as their final gamble. Saiba Lu admitted he wouldn't normally lose, but this time He Shu was the real danger. If He Shu personally intervened, the battle would instantly reach an unrecoverable end. Saiba Lu realized the problem wasn't enemies anymore, but fatigue strangling every move. One lapse was enough. He was struck from behind, paying in blood and balance. The system warned fatigue hit 98, pushing Sibalu to death's edge. Near collapse, Sibalu still counterattacked in chaos, dragging the fight out second by second. His sword fell, trembling legs announcing total bodily betrayal. Hishu gleefully declared Sibalu dead, convinced the plan had finally worked. Sibalu coldly questioned him, dropping the name Iki and stabbing straight into Hishu's guilt. Lightning exploded as Sibalu spent his last power on a judgment strike. The victim fell on the spot, proving Sibalu wasn't as easy to kill as expected. Right after Sibalu collapsed too, his body hitting absolute limits. Hishu hid in the crowd watching, wary and unable to believe the tide had turned. The system blared fatigue at 99, every breath potentially the last. A merciless notice confirmed hit 100 and Sibalu dies instantly. Burning his final will, Sibalu shouted he would win, even as his body nearly disintegrated. Hishu suddenly panicked, realizing Sibalu still had a final card. A lightning-wrapped blade shot toward Hishu, life and death separated by inches. At death's edge, Sibalu sensed a strange scent, signaling something abnormal. Consciousness snapped back, and Sibalu found himself sitting in a reeking trash bin. A status panel appeared showing the name Sibalu Hao Shai and an Earth origin, freezing him solid. Sibalu screamed in rage, rejecting this painfully ordinary identity in garbage world. He slowly realized Sibalu Narukami had died 20 years ago, and this body was someone else. The painful fall confirmed this wasn't a dream, but a twisted new beginning. Sibalu immediately checked player tools, desperate to confirm whether Azure Eye still existed. Information about Azure Eye from 20 years ago left him shaken. History had been rewritten. Hishu's image surfaced, dragging Sibalu back to memories where betrayal hadn't yet begun. Sibalu once saw Hishu as a friend, but those vague words now echoed like a betrayal forecast. Hishu left to form his own guild, mocking fate by calling himself Sibalu's shadow. The name Lamsu stunned Sibalu. After 20 years, Hishu was still stuck on floor 9. Sibalu went numb seeing the memorial hall of Sibalu Narukami packed with mourners. Standing before a hall bearing his name, he couldn't believe he'd become a lethal symbol. The familiar mask was displayed solemnly, nailing down the image of a dead hero. Sibalu wondered in chaos why people mourn a dead man when the truth is twisted. Praises rang out glorifying Sibalu as Azure Eye's pride and role model. They called him the undefeated legend, closest to the tower's peak, untouchable. Hishu appeared, coldly stating he was the one who built this memorial hall. He bluntly declared Sibalu Narukami and Azure Eye no longer existed. Hishu claimed Lamshu as the sole successor, monopolizing their spirit and fame. Rage erupted as Sibalu realized killing him once wasn't enough for Hishu. Hishu rambled on, denying any chance of Sibalu and Azure Eye's return. In Sibalu's mind, resistance roared, this memory must be rewritten. Sibalu swore he'd never let Hishu repeat that crime again. Amid emotional chaos, a weak hand grabbed Sibalu's leg, startling him. When the person looked up, Sibalu froze at the sight of his own familiar mask. Horrified, he saw everyone around wearing the same mask from his past life. Hishu's voice mocked him, dripping with pity for the ending he arranged. Sibalu suddenly understood this was Hishu's plan from start to finish. Before him stood his own portrait, placed among solemn wreaths. Sibalu realized it was all theater for Hishu to steal Azure Eye's glory. White chrysanthemums glowed with eerie blue light, signaling something wrong. Sibalu reached into the light, stepping toward a new starting point of fate. He jolted at the name Sigiure Sajili, meaning someone might still be alive. On a high rooftop, a group silently watched the world after 20 years. They confirmed another year survived, yet unease never truly faded. Repeating the ritual yearly felt excessive, but some insisted on keeping it. They argued whether Sibalu was alive, since no one had seen proof. Laina warned that searching for Sibalu would let Hishu find them faster. Elsewhere, Sibalu cried like a child, 20 years of emotion bursting out. He kept wondering if Sigiure truly lived or was just false hope. Clutching the flower, Sibalu called Sigiere's name, gripping his last thin thread. Even without finding Azure Eye, he believed Sigiure survived somewhere. He suspected Hishu was the root of every tragedy, hiding the truth at all costs. Sibalu knew contact anyone now was suicide while Hishu held power. Staring at the mask and flower, he forced himself to calm down and wait. Looking at his empty hands, he realized regaining power was the priority. 2 days later, player guidance began, reopening the path back to the tower. Sibalu told himself that as long as he lived, he'd meet the survivors again. The scene shifted to the examination hall, where Hujia strictly watched candidates. A panicked examinee refused the next trial, exposing the new generation's weakness. Hujia sighed that current quality was far below the tower's standards. Suddenly, Hujia's eyes locked onto the screen at an abnormal entrant. A man dragging a sword walked in, his heavy aura silencing the hall. Hujia warned that name carried weight, meaningless unless proven by survival. Sibalu stood cold-faced awaiting the system, as if used to life and death. The system ordered him to kill 2 goblins, a basic yet merciless test. Before any signal, Sibalu charged like a gale, stunning every supervisor. Before Hujia could even blink, Sibalu had already cleared the monsters, his speed absurdly beyond test standards. Sibalu silently confirmed that spending 2 days probing his new body's limits was the right call. This awakened body held terrifying potential, fully capable of supporting his suicidal combat style. Without hesitation, Sibalu accepted the next trial, because wasting time was not an option. Hujia froze, realizing Sibalu wasn't swinging wildly but controlling every motion with surgical precision. Sibalu predicted every enemy move in advance, turning combat into a solved equation. Hujia judged those skills beyond even a master swordsman levels he himself could barely reach. A chilling thought crossed Hujia's mind, unless this youth was tied to Sibalu Naru Kami. The system offered the final boss challenge, a deadly checkpoint most candidates never passed. Sibalu merely sighed and urged them to start, as if risk had lost all meaning. The ground cracked open as a massive hand emerged, heralding the ruler's arrival. The Goblin King appeared, a monster far beyond any guided rookie's scope. The system confirmed it was enraged, instantly spiking the danger level. Sibalu admitted bluntly that with his current stats, direct damage was nearly impossible. Even so, he refused to retreat and tossed his sword aside, shocking Hujia. As the Goblin King charged, a sudden arrow pinned its leg to the ground. Sibalu dropped low, revealing poisoned arrows in his hand. This was a deliberate trap. He taunted the beast, forcing it to choose between killing him or dying slowly to poison. They clashed head and Sibalu using agile footwork to offset the stat gap. While dodging, he recalled old training sessions, turning memory into combat instinct. Lina's image surfaced, reminding him how to use hidden weapons with lethal focus. Following that guidance, Sibalu hurled a dart straight into the critical weak point. Dart after dart pierced the throat, quickly throwing the Goblin King into chaos. Sibalu remembered Lina's lesson: power lies in decisiveness and precision, never hesitation. Witnessing it all, Hujia had to admit Sibalu was a true combat prodigy. The Goblin King, riddled with wounds, lost all dominance. Defeat was now only a matter of time. As its strength drained, it collapsed, forcing Sibalu to decide on execution to prevent future risk. Seizing the chance, Sibalu instantly picked up his sword, knowing delay meant reversal. Abandoning mercy, he delivered a fatal strike. Only instant death could end this danger. The system confirmed the Goblin King's defeat, proving the ruthless choice was correct. Immediately after, a first-time guidance completion notice appeared, showing the trial exceeded training norms. Levels, reputation, and achievement points poured in, unlocking a guidance-only shop. Seeing 425 points in hand, Sibalu calculated carefully, knowing purchases shaped his future survival. Opening the shop, he froze. The items far exceeded any rookie's expectations. The nameless demon sword, priced at 1,000 points, appeared, massive power at the cost of life force. Knowing it consumed HP and mental strength, Sibalu understood wielding it meant higher risk. The safer Milanda sword showed up, forcing a choice between power and long-term survival. With a long road ahead, Sibalu hesitated, aware a wrong weapon meant instant regret. And Frank's skill, costing 400 points, appeared, capable of nullifying side effects from skills and items. Realizing its true value, Sibalu was stunned. It could offset the demon sword's fatal flaw. That logic flipped the script, turning the demon sword into the fastest power path. Without further doubt, Sibalu bought the skill, committing all points to a high-risk build. Next, he purchased the nameless demon sword, locking himself into extreme damage progression. Feeling the power in his grip, Sibalu was satisfied. This choice crushed rookie standards. Examiner Hujia appeared, acknowledging compatibility, yet baffled by Sibalu's recklessness. Even provoked, Hujia wanted to train him personally, seeing weak foundations but insane potential. Sibalu decisively left, unwilling to be bound just as his path opened. He landed elsewhere soon after, marking his official exit from the initial test zone. Amid the noisy cries of the second-floor newbie zone, Sibalu knew a new phase had begun. Holding an unmatched advantage, he knew that walking the right path would only widen the gap. Starting his second run, Sibalu had to do better, having witnessed that disastrous ending firsthand. Not just for himself, he carried his teammates' weight and a burning need for revenge. Sibalu headed to a private training room, since only self-testing reveals real limits. Assigned room 1 by the old guide, he picked a harder one anyway, paying extra to test himself. Despite credit warnings, he chose room 5 because only pressure squeezes out power. Credits were deducted, marking Sibalu's entry into a numeracy trial. Difficulty spiked instantly, just as expected. This wasn't for the undergeared or inexperienced. Even looked down on, Sibalu stepped in, knowing retreat meant losing growth. Gripping the demon sword, he prepared to face reality. This was the moment of truth. The nameless demon sword recognized its master, activating buffs by draining HP and MP. Tannian level 1 kicked in, barely suppressing backlash and keeping Sibalu alive. But the level was too low, fatigue still surged, proving level 1 wasn't enough. The demon sword kept draining HP, trading life for explosive power and pushing danger limits. Unable to fully control it, Sibalu accepted this was his current ceiling. He dumped all remaining credits into upgrading the skill, choosing survival over savings. Tannian reached level 2, clearly resisting the demon sword's backlash. The resistance wasn't perfect, but enough to avoid being eaten alive. Feeling more stable power, Sibalu's eyes burned red with sharpened resolve. He charged again to test the new limit. Only real combat proves results. Outside, the old man froze as Sibalu stumbled out of room 5 far too early. Seeing the wrecked interior, he was speechless, clueless about what just happened. Sibalu realized he'd truly unleashed the demon sword, though his body paid dearly. He concluded Tannian plus demon sword was the key, only skill level remained. Staring at near 0 credits, Sibalu felt stuck, stronger, but dirt poor. Right then, a stranger tossed him 1,000 credits, opening an unexpected door. Sibalu's gaze turned wary, sensing this wasn't random kindness. Checking his phone, he learned PvP and livestream donations were the new money meta. Realizing the donor was just farming views, Sibalu grew cautious of this world. At that moment, Isaki appeared, dragging Sibalu into an unwanted encounter. Sibalu's body reacted badly, memories screaming they'd never been on good terms. It wasn't fear, but long-suppressed anger from the past. Isaki mocked him, treating his test success like an absurd joke. He sneered that trash like Sibalu should have died to goblins ages ago. Old humiliation surged as Sibalu recalled begging Isaki in despair. Isaki openly insulted him, calling him a useless failure with no upbringing. He even kicked Sibalu down, asserting dominance through familiar violence. Facing that shameful past, Sibalu understood why he once hid in that box. Isaki bragged about elite results and noble birth, widening the gap deliberately. He flaunted hider skills too, stomping on Sibalu's pride for fun. Sibalu flatly refused, stating he had no credits for old bullying games. He walked away, refusing to let the past block revenge and survival. Isaki suddenly grabbed his arm, trying to drag him back into control. Sibalu warned coldly, ready to fight if Isaki didn't let go. In the crowd, he held back, causing chaos now would only worsen things. Isaki laughed, mistaking restraint for the same old cowardice. He threatened with family power, boasting he could crush Sibalu anytime. Laughing as he left, Isaki dropped a warning, convinced Sibalu wouldn't resist. The system displayed guidance, outlining two main growth paths. One was hunting outside safe zones, fast growth but insanely dangerous. Because in the real world, one mistake means real death, no response. The system reminded why most players avoid hunting. No one likes risking death when safety exists. In total contrast, Sibalu sat calmly before a monster corpse, knowing safety equals slow progress. More danger means faster strength. Sibalu's survival math never failed. A live stream titled Narukami Sibalu popped up with 80,000 viewers, stunning him. A masked streamer boldly announced a Floor 3 challenge, whipping viewers into a frenzy. The system confirmed Narukami as a registered original name, rewarding 20,000 credits per clear. The guy even thanked donors openly, treating fame like a cash printing tool. One man farmed credits with ease, while Sibalu traded blood for scraps. Staring at his 50 credit balance, Sibalu tasted the bitterness of two paths. He stood up abruptly. There was one thing he had to do right now. The ground shook as a massive monster emerged, signaling unavoidable combat. The system warned that High Commander class Insecto Luo had appeared. Sibalu stayed calm this time. He had a stronger demon sword in Tannian. The nameless demon sword drained HP as stats exploded, pushing him into peak combat mode. Tannian level 2 resisted the backlash, letting him control the dangerous power. HP and mental energy recovered briefly, enough to maintain overwhelming offense. Sibalu leapt skyward, smashing monsters before they could even react. The OLC Whispering Dungeon was cleared, confirming his real combat strength. Looking into a mirror, Sibalu finally understood how masked streamers made money. He put on the mask, deciding that if he did this, it would be with real skill. The Narukami Sibalu broadcast officially began, marking a turning point. Elsewhere, Hatsuka ground her teeth in fury at the unbelievable sight. She screamed 5 people couldn't clear it, yet this guy did it solo. Arguments erupted over whether Narukami Sibalu was legit or a stronger fake. Sayang pondered quietly, realizing meeting Narukami was what fueled tower climbers. Hatsuka suddenly shouted after spotting another Narukami Sibalu stream. Even with 0 viewers on floor 2, she sensed something off. Just seeing that mask made her hope it was the real one. Hearing about the 1,000 credit donation, Sayang paled, begging forgiveness for a bad hunch. The system activated the floor 2 gate, forcing Sibalu into his first livestream trial. Sibalu calmly assessed the stage wasn't hard for his current power. Still, hundreds of watching eyes added real pressure. A viewer message popped up asking what floor he was on. Warnings flooded in first stream. This reckless was how people died early. A vicious monster suddenly lunged, forcing instant reaction. With one strike, Sibalu sent it flying far beyond rookie standards. The system confirmed one eye drop defeated, and chat exploded. The challenge was announced: kill more monsters for higher achievement points. Ignoring team-up advice, Sibalu refused flatly, used to solo fights. He even smiled, admitting he preferred handling things alone, baffling and mocking viewers. Sibalu knew the name Narukami Sibalu alone would draw crowds. A salamander lunged out, testing his reflexes in a split second. Sibalu cut it down easily, then chose to go deeper to test limits. Achievement points kept ticking up, proving his terrifying hunt speed. His body moved smoothly, as if the entire cave lay under control. Monsters fell in flashes, leaving viewers unable to process what happened. Sibalu explained that listening to sound was enough to judge numbers and direction. Inside, he knew this still wasn't enough. Max points before leaving was the goal. Suddenly, his steps halted as instinct screamed danger ahead. Sibalu slowly looked up, ready to face whatever waited in the darkness. On the cave walls, countless poison one eyes emerged, surrounding Sibalu in a lethal trap. Their crimson eyes snapped open together, signaling a no-retreat mass assault. Chat mocked him, declaring Sibalu had cornered himself and would soon crawl back to the gate. The system suddenly issued a Milu and E-stream quest: kill them all for 100 reputation points. Sibalu calmly thanked them, since to him this wasn't a trap but free loot. Outside, Sayang panicked and slammed the desk, unable to grasp how a floor 2 rookie caused this. Hatsuka stared silently at the screen, a clear sense that things were going off script. She muttered something felt wrong, and Siang realized the issue wasn't about money. Hearing the name Narukami Sibalu, Siang froze. No way a floor 2 stream shook things this hard. Chat exploded, unable to believe a floor 2 rookie was slaughtering poison one eyes in bulk. The poison one eyes charged like mad, crushing Sibalu with sheer numbers. Yet every precise strike from Sibalu dropped them effortlessly. Viewers grew suspicious. No one believed reflexes like this belonged to a newbie. Sibalu suddenly remembered the quest and casually claimed reputation mid-fight. His movements were clean, like monster hunting and streaming were daily routine. Quest complete, Sibalu gained 100 reputation, officially proving his on-stream value. Without stopping, he pushed deeper, knowing the next zone was the dungeon's end. The system updated reputation and achievement points, confirming performance beyond Floor 2 norms. Outside, Hasuka blurted out in excitement, realizing this was a rare anomaly. She spiraled into theories about Sibalu's origin and fate, getting pulled in deeper. Sayang sighed whenever Narukami Sibalu came up. Hasuka lost control. Hatsuka's eyes never left the screen, tracking every step Sibalu took. Inside the dungeon, space trembled, signaling he'd reached the critical point. The final door slowly opened, forcing Sibalu to face the real trial. Before him slept a wreck werewolf, whose presence alone crushed the air. The system announced the werewolf had acknowledged Sibalu as qualified. Sibalu understood it wasn't prey, but a gatekeeper judging player aptitude. Glancing at the screen, he froze at the massive reputation surge beyond expectations. The werewolf slowly opened its eyes, heavy pressure flooding towards Sibalu. Identity confirmed, the gatekeeper Hongdi, werewolf of Floor 2, officially awakened. Without delay, Sibalu drew his sword, knowing this was a true test, not a chat. The werewolf praised him, noting his breath, and gaze stayed steady despite shifting offense. It judged Sibalu had predicted enemy movement, acting as if all was planned. Sibalu summed up mentally against swarms read collective motion, not individuals. The more poison one eyes charged head-in, the larger their opening, hence the massacre. The system requested the werewolf's official verdict of recognition. The werewolf was stunned, learning Sibalu cleared all Floor 2 trials solo. It stepped closer, declaring it smelled a true great warrior on him. The werewolf proclaimed Sibalu qualified, seeing essence beyond surface power. The test ended. Sibalu was allowed to pass the gate without combat. A flicker of regret crossed Sibalu's heart, since this gate wasn't his real goal. The werewolf confirmed Sibalu possessed a great warrior's soul, rare even in the past. In the office, Hatsukai and Chiang watched the stream as tension rose. Department head Ku Tao questioned the viewer count, claiming it wasn't worth investment. Hasuka shot back, the numbers were steadily rising, proving this stream was special. Despite being scolded, Hasuka kept watching, convinced Shed found something extraordinary. Back in the dungeon, the werewolf suddenly raised its claw, spiking combat pressure. The nameless demon sword began absorbing mana, pushing all of Sibalu's stats into danger. Power rose as stamina drained, placing him in a high-risk, high-gain state. Tannian level 2 activated, nullifying side effects and preserving critical control. Moxing's body lights up, first activation, 0 warm-up, straight to serious mode. The battle wolf rushes nonstop, forcing Moxing to drop thoughts and trust muscle memory. He barely blocks the claws with his blade half a beat slower, and he'd be shredded. A storm of combo strikes pins Moxing on defense, each swing threatening to break his guard. Moxing realizes trading raw power is suicide and scrambles for another way out. The battle wolf's gaze shifts, surprised a weakling is still standing. Cornered with no retreat, Moxing has exactly one shot to flip the board. Between ragged breaths, he knows tricks beat brute force right now. The wolf raises its claws for the kill, convinced Moxing is out of options. A thunder-heavy blow crashes down, forcing instant action or instant death. Moxing reads the straight-line attack. The wolf's arrogance exposes a fatal opening. He counters in a flash, blade thrusting, because this is the only finishing moment. The battle wolf collapses in blood, felled by 1 second of carelessness. Perfect timing proves this win was skill, not luck. Moxing sheaths his sword, the fight ends clean and sharp. The system confirms the battle wolf's defeat, validating Moxing's reckless choice. Moxing hits level 12 power and focus, spiking as risky dividends. Achievement points and mana surge, marking this fight as far from ordinary. Panning, Moxing chuckles, he just broke a can't-be-done limit. Quest complete, reputation floods in, proving the quest giver lowballed him. A gate opens ahead, teasing the next challenge. Stepping into the light, Moxing senses fresh danger, nothing's safe yet. The system dumps a pile of options, hinting Moxing's abnormal potential. After brief hesitation, he accepts the lightning trial, backing off as worse. Electricity wraps Moxing's body, signaling a harsher trial has begun. Despite the shockwaves, Moxing is still a Floor 2 rookie, so expectations stay low. KU gambles hard, staking his contract future on Moxing's lightning trial. Lewin sneers, history says only one ever passed, and Moxing isn't that name. Doubt aside, Lewin takes the bet, silently accepting a brutal loss if wrong. The system activates the lightning trial, locking Moxing into no retreat mode. Someone suddenly tackles Moxing, forcing split-second reflexes to avoid disaster. A massive explosion erupts behind them, the trial veers off script. The system reports a giant fragment defeated, instantly raising red flags. Moxing realizes the boss spawned early, the difficulty spike came ahead of schedule. He knows killing Hong Xianbao warped the trial, mistakes now cost lives. The giant fragment slams its weapon down, forcing Moxing to move or be crushed. Calmly assessing, Moxing notes it's huge but poorly built, still winnable. He tightens his grip, deciding to end it fast before more trouble arrives. The nameless demon's sword activates, trading blood for power, and pushing Moxing to the edge. Under crushing pressure, Moxing holds firm, retreat would only worsen things. Heavy blows rain down, forcing pixel-perfect footwork to avoid being flattened. Lying panics as Moxing is blasted airborne, certain as dead. Moxing twists midair and lands atop the monster, turning danger into execution ground. The blade plunges deep without hesitation, one delay means counterkill. One lethal strike makes the giant fragment howl, completely losing all offense. The system confirms the boss slain, stage 4 ends in utter disbelief. Moxing reaches level 13 power and speed surge to match the ordeal. Massive rewards pour in, proving Moxing far exceeds low tier standards. Lying approaches warily, this guy is no normal rookie anymore. To a fearful question, Moxing replies coldly, declaring himself the one who shattered every limit. Moxing coldly declares his goal to defeat the giants, showing his path is locked in. In the quiet town, Moxing stares at the screen alone. The fight's over. The pressure isn't. Comments flood in demanding loot reveals. Sure, the boss drops aren't trash. The giant's heart is revealed, a rare accessory boosting HP and regen, instantly raising Moxing's survival floor. Moxing knows Regear is priceless, meaning future stages won't drop him easily. Liming appears a rare lightning armor, adding both defense and counterattack options. Moxing equips it immediately. Hoarding gear now would just be self-sabotage. The lightning training quest goes live with huge rewards, spiking viewer hype. Safe Asset jumps in with a massive bounty, proving faith in Moxing's potential has exploded. Moxing thanks them and vows to deliver. Has no longer fighting just for himself. He becomes the spotlight, more important than he ever expected. Lying arrives with Belis, dragging Moxing from safety back to the front line. Belis is introduced as the Knight Commander, signaling the village's fate is at stake. Belis thanks Moxing for protecting the village, confirming he is beyond a mere outsider. Belias reveals the giant chieftain has been found, escalating things into a Doherty campaign. He bows to beg for help. The knights have no choice but to bet on Moxing. Old memories surface. Moxing recalls Belis was meant to die later, making the choice heavier. Moxing agrees to cooperate. Walking away would repeat the tragedy. The system activates Stage 5, opening an even deadlier chain of events. The group advances at sunset, calm scenery mocking the danger ahead. Belis suddenly signals a halt, sensing the battlefield has shifted. The giant chieftain emerges, its grotesque body proving it rules this land. Belis plans a suicidal lure to let Moxing strike from behind. Pure desperation. Moxing stops him instantly, knowing that plan only leads to pointless death. The ground trembles violently. Something far worse is starting now. Moxing's eyes turn icy. What stands before him is no longer human. The chieftain's facial skin bulges and warps, its monstrous nature surfacing. Multiple giant fragments spawn at once, turning the field into an overwhelming nightmare. The giants roar in frenzy and charge, pushing the formation into despair. Belis freezes. This scenario far exceeds all scouting predictions. Panic erupts as the knights retreat toward the mountain base to avoid annihilation. Belis blocks the front and orders retreat, choosing self-sacrifice to save his men. He shouts for them to think of family and village. Only survival allows revenge. Belis turns back to stall the enemy, staying despite knowing it's a death sentence. He begs Moxing to withdraw, entrusting rebuilding and vengeance to the future. Moxing draws his sword in reply, declaring he's the one who should stay. He forces Belis to leave. If he stays, both will die for nothing. Under that cold command, Belis flees in despair. He vows to gather warriors in return, placing his life's hope on Moxing. The giants roar in unison, locking Moxing as their sole target. Without hesitation, Moxing charges into the horde, becoming the final defense line. Black aura coats his blade as Moxing issues a challenge, drawing all their hatred. He slashes at giant legs. Toppling them is the only way to hold out. One monster nearly falls, proving Moxing's tactic is right. The system awards achievement points, confirming each kill extends survival. Fighting on, Moxing mutters that he won't accept being left alone even in a trial. He realizes holding here could shatter everyone's destined death. The giants go berserk and swarm, denying Moxing any rest. Moxing unleashes another finishing blow, thinning numbers before being buried. Another giant falls. Each strike buys precious time for his allies. Moxing analyzes the nameless demon sword, realizing it burns mana for power. Time itself is the real enemy. He tightens his grip, knowing the issue isn't kill count, but how long he can endure. To avoid being swarmed to death, Moxing must secure vision and find the boss fast. He climbs onto a fallen giant's corpse, turning the battlefield into a lookout tower. Moxing glides midair as giants below gape, waiting for him to fall. He doesn't attack, just stomps giant faces to keep his momentum. Enemy bodies become stepping stones, maintaining a reckless aerial position. Comets panic. One slip and Moxing gets torn apart instantly. Thanks to level 2 greed, stamina recovery lets him barely suppress the demon sword's backlash. Moxing senses his near the limit and must find the boss before collapsing. At last, he locks onto the target, the boss looming in the distance. Moxing charges with intent to one-shot it, because delay equals death. At the critical moment, he snaps his fingers and triggers his final skill. Thunder erupts as golden light swallows the battlefield amid roaring thunderclaps. Giants scream and shield their eyes, the entire formation instantly disabled. Even the boss drops its weapon, howling as it loses all initiative. Moxing dives from above, forcing the demon sword to drain all remaining mana. He thrusts without hesitation, pouring everything into a single strike. The giant boss falls, slain before it can even react. The system confirms Stage 5 survival, completed with overstandard results. Moxing levels up, stats surging to reflect the brutal cost paid. Exhausted, Moxing jokes that if this were a novel, it'd be the ending. But Lavelle greed fails. Demon sword goes out of control at the worst moment. Moxing stares at the surviving giants, realizing his power is gone. At despair's peak, a golden lightning bolt tears the sky. New change incoming. Lightning engulfs Moxing, turning him into the eye of a power eruption. A violent blast throws giants back, proving the lightning isn't random. In another forest, a wooden cabin hidden under trees reveals a different scene. A girl sits quietly by the door, focused on a device as if watching someone. CG steps out and notices her at once, starting a cryptic exchange. He sternly says it's time to end. Everything unfinished pasts resurface. The device shows Moxing, and the name Narukami causes shock once again. They confirm this is only an imposter, Subaru Narukami, a low-floor rookie. The girl states the real Subaru is dead, forcing Shiji to face buried truth. She angrily asks how long he plans to hide behind that shadow. Their argument freezes when the screen image leaves Shiji stunned. Moxing stomps hard to launch himself, preparing a new power burst while surrounded. Crushing pressure spreads, pinning the giants and flipping the battlefield. The system announces Moxing has obtained the lightning skill power shift confirmed. Massive rewards appear alongside the choice to continue or retreat safely. Comments explode the difficulties broken, and lightning was gained impossibly. Lightning is confirmed A rank, a rare skill upgradable via thunder fragments. Moxing exhales in relief, ending the trial and time saved his life. Prestige skyrockets to 2150, reflecting viewer faith exploding. Moxing declares he'll continue the trial to repay the gifts, diving back into danger. Freed giants roar and charge again, giving Moxing zero rest. Moxing's eyes turn icy as he vows to show real power. He burns 20,000 prestige to upgrade greed, gambling everything has earned. Level 3 greed nullifies lightning backlash, letting Moxing unleash thunder freely. Moxing stands still on defense, waiting as monsters rush in to die. As the giants swing, Moxing knows this is the moment to end everything. He sneers, channels lightning into the nameless demon's sword, and gambles all remaining strength. Lethal red light erupts around Moxing, echoing a long-forgotten berserk state. One sword strike falls, Moxing's eyes flash with no road back. Wherever the slash passes, giants are shredded before they can resist. The strike ends, the glow fades, and the price crashes down instantly. Moxing pants in exhaustion, realizing he exceeded all calculations. He props himself up on the sword, cursing his misjudgment of the drain. Belio stands frozen, unable to believe the giants were wiped out. He rushes over, calling Moxing a savior. The whole squad owes him their lives. Moxing's vision blurs as he clings to breath, barely staying conscious. As Bilios reaches out, Moxing closes his eyes, his body finally gives up. Elsewhere, viewers panic seeing Moxing collapse after the battle. Hatsuka completely loses composure, realizing things went far beyond her forecasts. Hatsuka declares lightning is now a unique power bound to Subaru Narukami. Hien admits Moxing is worth watching, no one else could replicate that. Learning Moxing read messages but didn't reply, Hatsuka goes numb. In another place, Haki starts an analysis session, eyes blazing with interest. Haki's confident smile appears, signaling a serious breakdown incoming. Haki asserts lightning belongs to Subaru Narukami, a standout among players. The analysis livestream officially begins, with Moxing as the sole focus. Rewatching the fight, Haki can only stare at Moxing's absurd level. He realizes Moxing's skill control far exceeds normal standards. Haki concludes Moxing made zero mistakes from judgment to execution. The analysis ends with a promise to follow Moxing, certain he'll become a big name. A comment from Hawk Eye suddenly appears, his silence draws even more attention. Afterthought, Hawk Eye bluntly says Moxing's control surpasses peak Narukami, sparking uproar. Scene shifts, Moxing jolts awake mid-sleep, a familiar danger sense forcing alertness. Recalling the trial pause terms, Moxing considers rest, bodies fine, minds at the limit. Before ending the stream, Moxing thanks viewers as comments and views skyrocket. The system announces the live stream's end. Moxing stops himself before mental overload. Immediately, a flash opens a teleport gate. The system won't let him rest long. His phone vibrates unexpectedly. Moxing checks it, sensing it's not trivial. A letter from Southend Entertainment appears. The top MCN extends an invitation. Researching, Moxing learns Southend is elite, forcing serious career thought. A viral post likens Haki teaming with Southend to a meteor. Moxing hits center stage. Fierce debates erupt. Haki's harsh reputation makes his praise explosive. Knowing Haki rinkered him, Moxing feels shy yet thrilled. Effort finally paid off. Outside a cafe, a man strides over trouble, approaching Moxing unseen. Replaying Haki's commentary, the blow to his ego ignites instant fury. He snarls in denial, refusing to accept Moxing outranking him on floor 2. Seething, he enters the cafe, desperate for an outlet. Spotting Moxing inside fuels his rage. Every coincidence feels like mockery. Taking advantage of distraction, he knocks over hot coffee to spark conflict. Burned, Moxing startles, then recognizes him. Unwilling to escalate, he endures silently. Isaac spits hostile sarcasm, emboldened by Moxing's silence. Moxing chooses to leave, avoiding pointless conflict that could ruin his state. Ignored, Isaac grabs Moxing's collar. Crushed pride drives him mad. He leans in, threatening violence like before, believing force can drag Moxing down. Facing the madness, Moxing calmly grips Isaac's wrist. Retreat now would only worsen things. Moxing flicks Isaac's hand away, unwilling to waste time on pointless drama when his mind is elsewhere. The casual grip bruises Isaac's wrist, making him realize Moxing's strength is far beyond imagination. Moxing leaves calmly, even mocking Isaac to pay for the coffee, clearly not seeing him as a threat. The cafe door slams shut, a loud slap to Isaac's ego, branding the humiliation deep. Fuming, Isaac mutters Moxing's name, unable to accept being crushed by someone he once dismissed. On the street, Moxing suddenly recalls something crucial. The timing is right, no more delays. He sends a message immediately, knowing this connection could open a new path. The message reaches Hatsuka with a meeting request. Moxing is ready to face the world beyond the tower. Scene shifts to a dungeon, monster corpses everywhere, proof of a brutal recent fight. Moxing stands before the boss room, knowing this is the key moment and preparation is mandatory. The system confirms backlash suppression, pushing Moxing to test a new bodily limit. Boss Salamander appears, black flames raging and danger spiking to the extreme. Moxing fights while calculating, determined not to repeat past lightning-test mistakes. He channels lightning into his legs, prioritizing speed and mobility against the massive beast. The burst launches Moxing skyward, reviving the Pika sensation he once ruled with. Salamander breathes flames head in, forcing instant reaction or total incineration. Moxing roots lightning into the demon sword, only direct clash can break the assault. One slash splits the flames, proving lightning plus demon sword exceeds expectations. The next strike cleaves Salamander's body. Moxing chooses to finish before exhaustion hits. The system announces Dungeon Conquest, marking an overwhelming win via reckless style. Exiting at nightfall, Moxing briefly escapes life and death pressure. Fatigue remains high, but manageable cost reduction works better than expected. Seeing the harsh level up requirements, Moxing sighs, knowing the road ahead isn't easy. As he mutters about needing good work, a familiar voice appears, fate trolling him. Isaac emerges in the night with a strange attitude, signaling fresh trouble post-battle. Isaac closes in with a half apology and excuses, claiming rage pushed him past his limit. He provokes a final showdown here, convinced no one's around to stop it. Moxing looks at him with disgust, realizing Isaac's reason is fully devoured by hatred. Scene cuts. Hockey enters a small night cafe, opening a quiet but dangerous subplot. John is already waiting. This meeting isn't social, it's about Moxing. John bluntly asks for Hockey's evaluation of Subaru Narukami, since yesterday's comment exploded. Hockey says Moxing rivals Picaro Legends, but how far he'll go is still unknown. John reveals intent to recruit Moxing. Big powers have begun the scramble. John proposes teaming with Hawkeye to boost Moxing's exposure before moving. Back to Moxing. Isaac keeps provoking, believing only the two stand here now. Isaac sneers that Moxing lives off luck and carries teams, belittling him to self-soothe. He mocks Moxing for copying Narukami, the deepest wound in his psyche. Isaac insults the dead outright, exposing years of twisted resentment. Moxing calmly asks why he's hated, seeking the root instead of dodging again. Isaac admits it's just the name Subaru, revealing obsession-driven hatred. He reveals his father was the ninth floor 1/swordmaster, once feared tower-wide. Past life memories surge in Moxing, the name ties to an impossible battle. The former Subaru Narukami defeated that ninth floor swordmaster in a single move. A top-tier expert fell in an instant, becoming Isaac's eternal scar. Back to now, Isaac snaps when Moxing mentions that name, shame ripping him apart. Moxing confirms the truth. Isaac doesn't hate him, but Narukami's shadow. Unable to endure it, Isaac cuts him off and attacks, refusing to face reality. Flames erupt around them, pushing the night street to a life-or-death edge. Isaac howls hatred for Subaru Narukami, pouring obsession into a fireball. He ends with cold cruelty, proving hatred has fully consumed his reason. Isaac laughs in satisfaction, convinced his hated enemy is dead and his grudge finally paid. His attack explodes violently, and Isaac is sure Moxing couldn't survive that blast. He deludes himself into thinking he killed someone, power fantasy fully blinding him. Moxing's voice rises from the wreckage, shattering Isaac's belief and triggering panic. Moxing steps out of the flames wearing his familiar mask, crushing Isaac's victory illusion. Isaac screams in disbelief. How did Moxing tank the fire head-in? No mercy given. Moxing charges. Isaac already crossed the unforgivable line. A brutal punch caves into Isaac's gut, instantly collapsing his arrogance. Isaac crumples at Moxing's feet, blood spilling as Moxing looks down in disdain. Moxing forces the key question, exposing Isaac's total ignorance of who he insulted. He removes the mask, making Isaac face the horrifying truth. Even shaking, Isaac clings to warped pride, refusing to bow. Isaac roars and lunges in a final desperate attack. No retreat left. One casual swing severs Isaac's arm, ending all resistance. Moxing coldly judges him. Isaac failed from the moment he misunderstood the question. A blade at his throat sparks panic as Isaac recalls every word Moxing said. Isaac finally understands. Terror makes his body tremble uncontrollably. Moxing delivers a fatal slash, blood spraying as all hatred ends. Isaac is executed cleanly. This game is over for him. Mask back on, Moxing leaves silently, thinking he was too merciful. He silently thanks Hozoi's body for carrying him through what had to be done. The cafe buzzes next morning, proof Moxing Narukami's aftershock is spreading. Moxing calmly keeps his masked rule, and anonymity as his deadliest advantage. Hatsuka arrives and apologizes for being late, opening their first official meeting. She introduces herself as the one who contacted him, marking a new turning point. Hatsuka stares too long, then flusters an apology. Confidence slips immediately. Remembering John's advice to appear reliable, she panics. She already blew it. When Moxing mentions Narukami, Hatsuka instantly fangirls, emotions leaking out. She excitedly recounts Moxing's earliest fights, proving she followed him from 0 viewers. Behind the mask, Moxing smiles. He didn't expect anyone to remember that far back. Hatsuka admits admiration drove her to become a manager, calling it destiny. She snaps into pro mode, needing to rebuild trust before contracts. Hatsuka explains Moxing just streams promotion as the company's job. Moxing doubts the simplicity. Hatsuka insists his lightning control earned top evaluation. One casual question from Moxing makes Hatsuka panic, fearing she seems unreliable. Moxing quietly reads her aura, realizing she's far sharper than she looks. He knows signing means stronger enemies. He'll have to accelerate nonstop. Contrary to Hatsuka's worry, Moxing accepts the partnership, choosing to trust her. He sincerely asks for her help. The manager relationship officially begins. The new livestream opens with explosive comments, showing Moxing's rising pull. Viewers pass 700 instantly, proving Hatsuka's announcement worked. No delays, Moxing dives straight into a dungeon to keep the pace hot. The system announces Stage 6, opening a new legendary arc. Scene shifts to a rain-soaked forest military camp, setting a war backdrop. Soldiers doubt Moxing, refusing to believe one outsider beat the giant boss alone. Pelios angrily defends his savior, showing absolute respect for Moxing. News of Moxing waking spreads through the tent, drawing all eyes to the controversy. When Moxing appears, doubts deepen. He doesn't look like a hero. Moxing tweaks his voice for viewers only, skipping boring narrative fluff. From an old soldier's tale, Moxing learns of a threat bigger than the boss, raising the stakes. Hearing of a legendary giant appearing after the boss, the air tightens. This thing is beyond imagination. Comments explode, guessing its floor at level, since no one's ever faced such a monster. Moxing stays calm and says it must be defeated. Retreat now means waiting for total annihilation. Mocked as Navi, Moxing holds firm without trying. The only ending is despair. Belios mentions the thunder fragment atop Tianlian Mountain, revealing the sole way to flip the board. Belios believes only Moxing can find it, since has the only one compatible with lightning. Burning villages come into view. The giants have begun slaughtering, leaving no retreat. A giant many times larger appears, claiming to be the slain one's father, pushing danger to the max. He crushes humans like toys, proving brute force won't cut it. The carnage fills Moxing's vision, forcing him to face responsibility he can't dodge. From above, Moxing locks onto the target, the one trying to wipe out the village. He turns his horse away without lightning. All hope ends here. Belios warns only 3 days remain before the giant arrives. Time is the real enemy. Moxing rides straight for Tianlian Mountain, as the thunder fragment is the survival key. Doubted by comments, Moxing refuses. Retrays only forward progress breaks the test. He boldly claims no tower challenge is unconquerable, morale skyrocketing. The system logs the quest and posts prestige rewards. This is a true life or death problem. Reaching the site, Moxing dismounts. His instinct says the fragment is close. He discovers the hidden thunder fragment, proving the legend real. Yet its true nature is unknown, making approach extremely dangerous. Belios confirms past lightning bearers annihilated giants, reinforcing this choice. Scene cut. Hatsuka reports the contract is finalized, securing the rear. Higher-ups confirm success. Hatsuka is recognized for real ability for the first time. Hatsuka opens Moxing's stream. Watching Lev is her greatest reward. Hearing Moxing's confidence on air, Hatsuka freezes, sensing the coming trial is brutal. She stiffens as Moxing unconsciously quotes words from over 20 years ago. Something feels wrong. At Tianlian Mountain, Moxing slams a massive rock, knowing only by breaking limits can he reach the core. Seeing a deep crater, he doesn't stop. He must find the true ceiling. A full-force punch detonates, shattering the stone as his body is pushed past safe limits. Amid the rubble, Moxing finally finds what he sought. The legend wasn't fake. A vast lightning source resonates with him, as if calling a worthy bearer. Answering the call, Moxing steps forward. Retreat now means abandoning the village. Before a giant marked door, comments panic while Moxing focuses on cracking it. He touches the door, trusting lightning's reaction over any mechanism. The system activates lightning creation mode. Moxing enters the stage's core trial. He knows this is the real test, with no retreat or safe choice left. Moxing throws the opening punch, answering lightning's call with uncompromising will. Golden energy pierces the rock wall, proving he hit the required power tier. The door slowly opens. Moxing is accepted deeper onto lightning's path. Inside lies something that halts him cold, far beyond expectation. The system declares his walking the path of thunder, locking all exits. Unable to leave until completion, Moxing must bet everything. Outside, Belios voices absolute faith. Moxing has never been all talk. Hockey admits has seen giant power firsthand, deepening the worry. Still, everyone chooses to trust Moxing as the only one willing to carry it all. Suddenly, the ground shakes violently. Disaster begins before Moxing returns. Bad news spreads. The giant has arrived. Moxing's time is nearly gone. In the icy cavern, Moxing scans calmly, forcing total focus. He wonders what will let him hear. Lightning is never given freely. Moxing realizes lightning is invisible before it strikes. True power only shows when it's already too late. Sabalu realizes the trial can't be seen, so old instincts are useless and perception must be rebooted. The real trial is an invisible lightning path where one wrong step means instant deletion. The deeper he goes, the more the lightning seems to tug at him like it's calling his name. Knowing dodging is pointless, Sabalu punches the ground and accepts a head-on fight. Invisible thunder floods the air, forcing his nerves to max out just to keep walking. Every step amps the lightning, proving this test measures pain tolerance, not fancy skills. A flash of gold explodes and debris flies, forcing a split-second life-or-death reaction. The blast confirms mistakes equal death, spiking the pressure with no retreat allowed. Sabalu gets at their testing endurance, and hesitation now is self-surrender. His gaze turns icy as the rule becomes clear: endure or die, no middle option. Pushed onward, he keeps moving not for rewards, but because retreat is forbidden. The scene cuts to a suffocatingly quiet reality, sharply contrasting the prior death pressure. Wayne barges in, shattering the calm and making Sage panic at his phone. She suspects dirty content, making Sage sweat as his secret teeters on exposure. A joke-like chat turns tense as both scramble to mask their true thoughts. Sage snaps irritably, pushing their relationship into an awkward no-exit zone. When she slams the door and leaves, Sage finally exhales, crisis postponed. Staring at his phone, he realizes he was one slip from losing everything. Sage dreads her, discovering he watches her stream. The mental fallout would be lethal. Hearing Sabalas' voice on stream, Sage notes it perfectly matches his real-life vibe. Lena appears with a dangerous tone, proving she spotted his secrecy long ago. The system orders the creation of a lightning path, yanking Sabalu back into hell. Sabalu falls silent, knowing each trial could be his final run. Golden light surrounds him, progress crawls up, and survival gets pricier by the step. Sabalas' eyes sharpen one slow move and lightning will eat him alive. The system rushes out a 2.3 progress update, mocking how long the road still is. Sabalu advances in doubt, but going this far means no turning back. Ignoring chat telling him to flee, Sabalu knows running equals admitting defeat. Beyond reaching the goal, Sabalu aims higher, fully aware the cost will be brutal. Sabala's image fills the screen, drawing serious stares from distant evaluators. Yingyan recalls Kyoan's words about teaming up, realizing Sabalu isn't small time. Kian judges Sabala's stream not as fanbait but a veteran's survival diary. He declares this a real chance for Yingyan to latch onto Sabalu and rise to stardom. Hearing this, Yingyan clenches his fist and commits to joining the big game. Yingyan wonders if Sabalu will flee from doubt, then admits he craves greatness too. Back in reality, Yingyan jolts awake, realizing his hand reached out unconsciously. Seeing the screen clearly, he blurts out as Sabalu does something insanely unsafe. Sabalu stands still in golden energy, using his broken body to tank lightning head-on. Though wrecked, Sabalu forces himself forward. Stopping now means total failure. His steps shake but never retreat, stubborn will becoming his only support. The lightning intensifies, invading his body and turning each breath into torture. Sabalu recklessly lets lightning flood every tiny meridian, choosing a deadly shortcut. The system announces 20.7 progress as minor meridian clearing begins. Pain just started. Sabalu tells himself he must control the lightning or be torn apart by it. The system warns of a negative state as electric punishment activates for skipping purification. Fresh blood seeps from Sabalu, proof of his suicidal choice's price. Using external lightning to open channels is faster, but the pain is off the charts. Chiyu watches the stream drenched in sweat, realizing most would have collapsed instantly. Even if death here doesn't affect reality, Sabalu's pain is hellishly real. Chiyu trembles, unable to grasp why Sabalu chooses such self-destructive endurance. Chiyu breaks down crying, unable to understand why Sabalu pushes himself into self-destruction. Despite everything, Sabalu keeps dragging himself forward as the system booms, denying him any pause. Progress passes 50, minor meridians keep opening, lightning stabilizes but his body is wrecked. Sabalu collapses, convinced every tragedy started with his own choices. Regret gnaws at him, making it feel like he personally led others to their deaths. Sabalu's voice fades to a whisper as consciousness wobbles on the edge of blackout. Tears pour as Sabalu goes half-mad, thinking arrogance and pressure doomed everyone. Kazuka's mocking words stab deep, pinning every failure on their pride. Triggered, Sabalu charges forward wildly as if fleeing his own guilt. Completely drained, he crashes down, while refusing to yield though the body does. Sabalu pants in despair, reaching out like grabbing the last thread of hope. The scene abruptly shifts to a peaceful grassland, signaling a deadly inner illusion. Spotting the group by a campfire, Sabalu stiffens as dread floods in. He panics, calling their names, praying this is just exhaustion-induced hallucination. Crying, Sabalu forces a smile, lying to himself that it's only a passing nightmare. Accusing voices rise, condemning Sabalu for leading them to an inescapable death. Kyuanji appears fatally wounded, demanding why Sabalu failed to protect them. Red flames erupt and burn everything, turning regret into mental torture. Sabalu screams in the fire, begging helplessly for them not to abandon him. He collapses completely, muttering desperate pleas after failing to save anyone. Sabalu wakes up, realizing it was a meridian opening illusion that nearly caused key deviation. The system reports near completion, proving he crossed life and death through pain. Standing amid golden lightning, Sabalu wonders why he's still alive after this madness. Kazuki's image surfaces, a reminder that past sins still cling tight. Chaos erupts as a colossal beast appears beyond the barricade, heralding a new disaster. The beast bears a mocking grin, as if aware it holds absolute advantage. The knights panic, realizing this is the real boss, and the masked man is gone. Balua scolds their cowardly doubt, saying trusting a stranger means trusting to the end. Old Diao cuts off the blame, stressing village defense is a knight's duty, not waiting for rescue. He declares knights are born to protect, then points his sword forward and chooses battle. Without hesitation, he charges with explosive speed, opening the fight on suicidal resolve. Inspired, the knights rush after him, accepting death as true knights. On Sabala's side, the system reports 99 progress, the trial nearing its fatal edge. A glowing circle and golden pill appear, the clear final goal of the lightning path. Though doubtful, Sabalu knows this is all that remains, and stopping is no longer an option. Exhausted, Sabalu lunges toward the energy source, forcing himself one final step. The system issues an extreme warning, but turning back now feels deadlier than advancing. His leg still lifts as willpower overrides every self-preservation signal. Back on the battlefield, Old Diao pours everything into a decisive slash at the beast. The monster howls in pain, revealing serious injury for the first time. Baluz instantly charges in support, shouting to finish it before momentum flips. Baluz hacks straight at the beast's face, killing intent exploding, denying counterplay. The beast crashes down, the battle briefly ending in shared relief. The knights cheer, believing Pilius and Diao have slain the greatest threat. Baluz assumes the worst is over, but Old Diao immediately denies it, sensing unease. Joy shatters when a knight is instantly crushed under a massive foot. Baluz is horrified, realizing the newcomer is on a completely higher tier. Back to Sabalu, he reaches for the circle as progress hits 99.99. Sabalu grips the target, the system completes 100, and power is confirmed. Sabalu's pupils blaze as he growls a vow to take Kazuki's head as final payment. All lightning floods into Sabalu's body, forcing an unannounced final absorption. Sabalu exhales deeply, accepting this is the endgame, life or death in one blink. His body falls back after swallowing the energy, consciousness nearly shredded by thunder. The system confirms minor meridians fully opened, magic power massively amplified. All stats spike, skill casting speeds up, proving Sabalu broke past his old limits. Sabalu lies sprawled on shattered ground, temporarily unable to move at all. The system announces the legendary quest complete, his gamble wasn't pointless. Zone watches the stream and realizes Sabalu reached a limit no normal person could endure. Yingyan calls Kyo and both are watching and agree Sabalu is genuinely insane. They conclude Sabalu has star potential because he plays like his life is real. Final verdict: Sabalu Narukami isn't a streamer, has a true player. At that moment, Sabalu's arm twitches on stream, proving he's still alive. Sabalu struggles up amid chat cheers, his survival igniting mass hype. Checking fatigue drops, Sabalu realizes stat boost improved his endurance. Gaining huge prestige points, Sabalu knows he's stocked for the next step. He realizes skill upgrades require killing the giant ahead. A lightning spear appears singlus, but decisive. Salu calmly explains hide item mechanics, making chat see his pro mindset. Entering the cave alone, Sabalu decides to personally finish the giant with lightning. Switching battlefields, Peleus and Old Diao freeze before the giant's massive eye. Just the giant stretching sends crushing pressure, making everyone tremble. The system confirms the giant swallowed the seed, boosting it beyond normal threat. A knight collapses in despair, admitting total helplessness before this disaster. Old Diao shouts for Beluas to evacuate villagers. The fight is out of control. At that instant, something makes Old Diao freeze, signaling worse to come. Belu screams for Old Diao, but danger strikes too fast to stop. A horrifying stomp kills two instantly before Belu's eyes, snuffing all hope. As dust settles, Belu's grasps the cruel truth: head and fight means annihilation. He despairs, realizing the village rear is surrounded, retreat completely cut off. Forced to gamble, Beluas calmly claims he knows who killed the giant's son. The giant leans down with murderous intent, one wrong answer from slaughter. Trembling, Beluas points elsewhere, trying to lure disaster away from the village. The giant smells the lie instantly and angrily exposes Beluas' deceit. As it's about to strike, thunder explodes from the mountains, making it pause. Beluas stares at the lightning storm, realizing the real savior has arrived. Atop the mountain, Sabalu stands looking down, stepping openly into the beast's sight. The system announces Stage 7. Sabalu knows this is the final stretch. Despite a charred body, Sabalu coldly claims one strike is enough. Knowing Milia's suicide, Sabalu decides to kill the giant from range. He raises the lightning spear. System confirms activation. The final battle begins. Tens of thousands of lightning spears surge skyward, twisting into a doomsday storm. Sabalu stands still, channeling power, fatigue skyrocketing but hands unmoving. The spear condenses in Sabalu's grip. Activation rises as pressure cracks his body. The system warns side effects can't be negated. Compatibility too low for a legendary item. Fatigue hits danger levels, but activation reaches 50, no turning back. Sabalu notices the giant has locked its gaze onto him. He calmly admits causing this scene without attention would be weird. Activation surpasses 78 as the lightning spear nears completion. The giant roars in hatred, identifying Sabalu as its son's killer. The monster charges in madness, opening an unavoidable life or death moment. Beluas desperately shouts to draw the giant back, but its gaze is already locked on Sabalu atop the mountain. Other giants surge through the sea of flames, turning the battlefield into a no-retreat zone. The giant mutters about its dead child, hatred funneling toward the lightning source. Carrying a parent's grief, it vows to return all that pain to the one before it. Unable to restrain its madness, the giant accelerates straight at Sabalu. With a terrifying leap, it attacks head-on, intent on crushing Sabalu in one blow. Sabalu grips the lightning spear tight, knowing this is the life or death moment. The system reports 885 activation, victory and death separated by a heartbeat. Sabalu tells himself it's 50-50, but there was never another choice. His eyes lock on the target. A tiny miss means instant death. He recalls the guidance, discarding excess technique to focus on a single strike. Realizing he's no ordinary spearman, Sabalu smiles faintly with confidence. Activation spikes to 95. The end is imminent. Sabalu decides not to throw the spear, but to fire it like a bolt of lightning. Even as the giant closes in, he keeps the spear in hand, waiting for the moment. He whispers just a bit more, forcing himself to stand still under deathly pressure. The giant stomps to gather power, ground shattering as it prepares the finisher. The beast leaps skyward, its massive shadow engulfing Sabalu. The system chimes. Activation hits 100. Lightning spear fully formed. Sabalu draws the spear back, pouring all will into this single chance. His mind holds only one thought, ended in one strike. The lightning spear fires, piercing the giant and detonating a world-shaking blast. As dust clears, Sabalu steps out unharmed, proving the reckless choice was right. The system confirms the Thunder Giant boss defeated. Stage 7 complete. Rewards pour in, stats surge, marking Sabalu's major breakthrough. Sabalu obtains the Thunder Core and, curious about its true power, touches it. The instant he does, violent light erupts, dragging him into an unforeseen incident. Opening his eyes, Sabalu finds himself in a bizarre purple land, clearly another space. A colossal shadow appears in the sky, being stared at. Sabalu senses grave danger. Crushing pressure paralyzes him, pain flooding in as he realizes this is a trial. Notifications warn of an observer, tension skyrocketing. This is no illusion. The Thunder Core glows again like self-defense, forcing Sabalu to cling to his last hope. Lightning tears through darkness, flipping the situation and proving the core is the key. A Thunder Trial notification appears. Sabalu is officially dragged into harsh testing. When he wakes, Sabalu finds his escaped and the livestream has ended, nearly passing out on camera. Police and others discuss it, as Sabalu fainted repeatedly, branding the test legendary tier. The system confirms mission completion, proving he survived despite extreme danger. He gains another 3,000 prestige points, the payoff matching the risk. Exhausted, Sabalu refuses to show rewards, angering viewers but saving himself. He disconnects the stream, leaving curiosity in shock. A perfect accidental cliffhanger. Meeting Chiyu later, Sabalu is praised, confirming his reckless effort paid off. Hearing viewership exceed 3,000, Sabalu is stunned. The brutal test drew massive attention. Chiyu notes his exhausted ending fueled curiosity, turning crisis into content gold. Sabalu admits he saved real reactions for later streams, believing honesty keeps viewers. Chiyu reveals she's prepared a special gift, hinting Sabalu is about to level up again. She asks Sabalu to find Yingin's stream, opening a totally new perspective on the trial. Yingin goes live analyzing Sabalu, so hyped he makes Sabalu the main topic. He asserts Sabalu deliberately raised the difficulty, making the feed abnormal and terrifying. Yingin concludes arrogantly no explanation needed. Sabalu Narukami is now the center. Sabalu looks at Chiyu, silently knowing his image and status have changed forever. Chiyu gathers courage to ask Sabalu a private question, as his recklessness raises doubts she can't ignore. She bluntly asks if he risks his life purely for money, hoping for a different answer. Sabalu replies without hesitation yes, all for money, the clearest and most practical motive. Awkward, Chiyu switches to the prepared gift, forcibly steering the tense talk elsewhere. She introduces Yingyan as a top-tier analysis streamer with long contracts and sharp judgment. Chiyu offers a 50-50 split of all future super-related content revenue. She clarifies the entire share goes to Sabalu, since all data and content originate from him. Holding the thick contracts, Sabalu realizes luck and opportunity keep chasing him since signing management. Chiyu suggests Sabalu officially collaborate with Yingyan as goodwill and influence expansion. Time passes as Sabalu returns home, weighed down by thoughts of the path he's chosen. Facing the mirror, Sabalu sees that more connections make hiding his true self harder. The system announces the cleaving edge skill level up, unlocking potential with harsh conditions. Learning crank skills need 80,000 prestige while his balance is tiny. Sabalu must recalculate. Though disappointed, he prioritizes survival and long-term plans over rushed upgrades. Sabalu looks forward to collaborating with Yingyan as a fast cash opportunity to cover shortages. He takes out a system flower, silently acknowledging more dangerous work lies ahead. Cut to Chiyu, burying her face in a pillow, emotions tangled after talking with Sabalu. She reassures herself it's all about money, though her heart doesn't fully buy it. She admits Sabalu intrigues her, a secretive man who fuels her curiosity. The story shifts to Nuxila's 7th layer, where gloomy buildings signal new danger. On-screen, Yingyan's analysis replay stirs public debate about Sabalu again. A viewer shows clear irritation, hinting Sabalu has entered dangerous sites. He dismisses Yingyan as just a famous streamer, dripping with arrogance. The man reveals himself as Haichuan Amon, deciding to intervene personally. Amon turns his focus to Sabalu, noting his grasp of lightning power. Conflict begins. Rewatching the fight, Amon admits deep admiration. Every move reeks of a former peak tier. Amon says everyone missed one thing, not only Sabalu, his whole team were real monsters. Their deaths are suspicious too, making Sabalu no mere anomaly. Yingyan's voice declares Sabalu Narukami needs no explanation, further enraging Amon. Amon fumes at Yingyan's smug clouching, seeing it as an insult. Fed up, Amon directly cuts the broadcast, openly opposing streamer culture. A subordinate reveals this follows Guildmaster Chuaozu's orders, subbering Amon instantly. Amon orders action. The lightning symbol belongs to Lanran, now held by Sabalu. Knowing Sabalu loves money, they choose bait he can't resist. As the cloth is yanked away, golden light flashes, stunning Amon. A truckload of gold bars appears. The order is clear: bring Sabalu back at any cost. Amon concludes calmly that Sabalu is money-driven and can be dragged into a bigger game. Meanwhile in the village, system recovery completes, signaling trial floor 2 soon. Beluas immediately directs rescue efforts, showing leadership amid chaos. Seeing Sabalu awake, Beluas rejoices like meeting a savior. He nearly died outside the village. Still dizzy, Sabalu makes Beluas confirm everything happened just yesterday. Sabalu suggests a private talk at the inn. He needs crucial answers. Watching Beluas, Sabalu trusts his goodness, while Chat starts teasing excessively. Back at the wooden house, Sabalu opens the system panel to check key rewards. The Thunder Core description appears, stats nearly perfect for lightning users. Sabalu can hide his shock, fueling viewer curiosity. Beneath the mask is a smug smile. Sabalu knows he's got a dream-tier treasure. Just as he celebrates, a knock sounds, signaling an unexpected visit. Beluas appears with a fruit basket, surprising both Sabalu and the viewers. Failing to get answers from Beluas, Sabalu realizes he must seek that all-knowing person again. Beluas admits he only knows ancient legends, forcing Sabalu to accept vague clues and keep deducing. The first legend says lightning once slew giants, hinting at god-killing power. The second claims gods and giants fought over lightning, turning it into war's core prize. The war ended with giant defeat, proving lightning once decided the world's fate. Sabalu deduces the Thunder Core was deliberately created. Nobody fights over junk. Beluas explains lightning was made for humans, because survival demanded that power. He asserts the Thunder Core exists so humans can fight, even defeat, gods and giants. As the legend unfolds, the system confirms humanity's forgotten knowledge restored. The lightning trial completes, marking Sabalu's key power milestone cleared. Sabalu's lightning skill jumps to level 3, validating his reckless gamble. Before reacting, the system teleports Sabalu away, flinging him to floor 3. Floor 3 out and appears as a colossal palace, signaling a higher tier challenge. Sabalu appears misty, netizens explode. He finally hit floor 3. Unlike Chat, locals sneer, seeing him as just another fake Narukami. The system suddenly interviews Sabalu's feelings, forcing self-reflection. The question drags him back to old memories tied to Outinen. He recalls meeting Gina, once cold and distant in his past. Sabalu remembers casually guiding a lost girl, a small but unforgettable choice. He ended up escorting her, a simple act that forged an unexpected bond. Back in reality, Sabalu wonders if those people are even alive now. The system panel waits, forcing him to face his true feelings. Sabalu answers that he feels has lost something incredibly important. Chat mocks his reaction, clueless about the emptiness behind it. To avoid distractions, Sabalu decides to cut the stream and refocus. Before offing, he announces the next stream collab with Yingyan Perfect Bait. Viewers aren't satisfied yet the stream ends, leaving curiosity hanging. The system confirms Sabalu Narukami has ended the livestream, closing a tense arc. Immediately after, Sabalu is summoned to a luxury room for an unexpected meeting. Kyun Tiao introduces himself from Star Path Entertainment, approaching per Chayu's lead. Kyun says he came personally since Chuyu rarely rates anyone that highly. When Kyun mentions another Narukami Sabalu senses it's no coincidence. Before questions, Kyun abruptly asks if Sabalu's interested in joining a guild. Kyun drops key until a major Floor 3 tournament in 5 days. Screenlight hits Sabalu's face, making him suspect a dangerous joke. Under the table, lightning leaks from Sabalu's hand, combat instinct triggered. Elsewhere, Lena confirms Sabalu's stream ended, signaling factions to move. Wayne ventures deeper into the icy forest, checking if it's truly over. She meets Sage and asks the situation, learning the fight ended long ago. Before them lie enemies frozen mid-attack, proof of the clash. More frozen foes dot the distance, forcing an unavoidable lethal choice. Wayne coldly suggests killing all to erase threats, while Sage hesitates. Sage reasons Kyazu wouldn't use such weaklings, deepening doubt. Fearing exposure, Wayne gathers power, preparing to strike before it's too late. She lifts flying ice blades, showing ruthless resolve. Wayne locks targets coldly, eyes unmoved by the cruel decision. Blades rain down, piercing frozen enemies and ending all survival chances. When it's over, corpses litter the ground, and Sage panics, questioning her. Wayne states sparing them only proves they're alive, an unacceptable risk. She bluntly calls Sage's hesitation a fatal weakness, forcing his silence. Right then, Sage's device signals anew, warning the next upheaval is coming. Wayne snatches the device and screams. The screen confirms a trap aimed straight at them. Seeing Soyama's boots, Wayne's fury erupts that relic must never be exploited. Sage instantly concludes it's bait, set to expose that they're still alive. Despite the risk, Wayne insists on reclaiming the relic. Being robbed like this is unacceptable. Wayne turns to leave, declaring she'll act from the shadows even without Sage's approval. Sage restrains her, choosing to wait until the tournament ends to lower exposure risk. Back to the present, Kyun displays Teleria Lanran relic as the Floor 3 prize. Without hesitation, Sabalu accepts so fast it even startles Kyun. Kyun reveals all side content hinges on Sabalu, making him the story's core. He bluntly admits exploiting the Narukami Sabalu name to build a relic hunt narrative. Beneath the mask, Sabalu burns with rage. His teammates' relic uses promo bait. Furious yet cold, Sabalu agrees to cooperate, vowing to turn the tournament into his battlefield. Sabalu leaves decisively, leaving Kyun thrilled yet uneasy about his choice. Anger floods Sabalu's mind. He swears no one else will touch that relic. Back in his room, Sabalu lies still, bracing for the blood-soaked game ahead. He hopes the tournament is solo. This isn't a time to trust anyone. Right then, Chiyu's voice sounds at the door, cutting his tense thoughts. After brief hesitation over the mask, Sabalu opens the door to face Chiyu. Chiyu is flustered by the mask, even more so when invited inside. Inside, suffocating silence spreads as neither dares speak first. Sabalu studies Chu and senses power far beyond a normal manager. Under his stare, Chu shyly speaks, accidentally breaking the heavy silence. Sabalu steers the talk to business, mentioning the tournament files she brought. Chiyu hands him over, revealing Floor 3's brutal free-for-all format. The rules force players to trample each other for massive rewards, maxing danger. The files show true slaughter, winner takes all, losers can die anytime. Sabalu confirms it's a disguised solo match with only one prize. Chiyu adds the venue is Floor 3's Illusion Trial Arena, unlimited entries, dirt cheap fee. Sabalu's phone keeps buzzing, countless brawl posts under his name show guided hype. Chiyu cautiously asks if Sabalu heard from a leader another force is approaching. She reveals the messages from Lanku, instantly triggering Sabalu's old grudges. Lanku wants a face-to-face negotiation, clearly marking Sabalu as unavoidable. Without thought, Sabalu flatly refuses. He won't be bought. Sabalu declares he'll join neither Lanku nor any other guild. Hearing this, Chiyu lights up, like a weight just lifted. She leaves relieved, reminding Sabalu to prep for the coming collab. Alone again, Sabalu admits Chiyu is anything but ordinary. Her dedication runs deep. Cut to the stadium. Chioen and Yingyan plot a high-risk plan. Kian proposes comparing old Viz new Narukami Sabalu's staking reputation. He warns failure would deal Sabalu a brutal public blow. Yingyan is supremely confident, claiming an unbeaten record and betting all on audience trust. Chiyu and Sabalu arrive, officially joining, turning tension into hype. Yingyan takes Sabalu's hand, collaboration confirmed on the spot. Yingyan starts the livestream. The awaited collab goes live. Viewers skyrocket past 12,000, proving Sabalu's pull exceeds forecasts. Yingyan declares this the moment everyone waited for, inviting Sabalu on stage. Sabalu greets the audience, instantly becoming the focus as interaction explodes. Sabalu confidently states he won't lose to anyone, igniting the stream. Yingyan cuts the banter, announcing the main event. The system announces the challenge start. Another clash is about to erupt. Facing a packed sea of golems, Hao Qian calmly explained his challenge choice, acting like the script was already written. As the golems stirred, Hao Qian claimed 2 reasons, stalling for time while piling pressure on the crowd. The first reason was testing control limits, miss one beat, and the whole show implodes instantly. The second was deadlier. Hao Qian wanted to prove on the spot that his judgment was spottin'. Subalu accepted the provocation and prestige points. Replying simply agreeing meant full confidence. The chat exploded, sensing Subalu's ambition wasn't just to win, but to smash the record. Standing at the center, Subalu clenched his fist, knowing 1 second of hesitation meant Golem Chow. The mission popped up with huge rewards and a face reveal penalty, forcing a choice between fame and safety. Subalu embraced the pressure, publicly vowing to reveal himself if he lost, cutting off all retreat. All prestige points flooded into Na Lu Shen, turning this from a show into an Allen gamble. Subalu hit start, officially turning the challenge into a life-or-death battlefield. The golems took flight together, clearly offering no warm-up or test run. Subalu's eyes went icy as lightning surged. Only overwhelming power could stop the tide. Lightning wrapped his arm as Subalu grabbed a golem's face, choosing a wildly reckless melee style. In a blink, the first golem fell, the opening kill signaling the coming storm. Hao Qian froze at the sight of real lightning, realizing Subalu far exceeded expectations. Subalu drew his sword and swept through multiple golems, proving this was skill, not luck. Commentators calculated the kill speed, all knowing the pressure would multiply later. The golem swarm went berserk, forcing Subalu to accelerate or be instantly surrounded. Subalu fought midair, using XA armor to turn the sky into a lethal advantage. From above, Subalu dove straight down, choosing a high-risk Wadiria finisher. The slam unleashed lightning everywhere, wiping nearby golems in a moment of destruction. The audience began believing Subalu could rank high, maybe even clear this insane task. The on-screen timer shrank fast, every second forcing even faster attacks. In the frenzy, Subalu split the last golem, hitting 42 kills right at the win line. Subalu barely stayed upright, gasping after forcing past his limits. Fall now and it's all over. Ahead lay another armed sea of golems, proving the challenge showed zero mercy as time ran out. Subalu charged sword clean through a golem's neck. One slow beat meant losing the record instantly. The countdown shrank violently, forcing Subalu to pour everything into one final strike. The system confirmed the end at 43 kills, exactly on the Razorthin win condition. The record updated, proving this wasn't luck but a true limit-breaking run. 1st place Na Lu Shen Subalu flashed on screen, sealing the fight as an undeniable milestone. The chat exploded, everyone shocked that 43 kills was insane, one less, and it hit the theoretical cap. Hao Qian rushed over to confirm the Razorthin draw, knowing both had crossed a dangerous line. Viewers admitted it wasn't luck, climbing even 2 ranks was hard, and Subalu went way beyond that. Prestige points poured in non-stop, proving the match had fully won the audience's trust. Lai Yinhati suddenly appeared with a massive donation, freezing the entire stream. Hao Qian stiffened at that name, realizing a top-ranked figure had been watching silently. Even Subalu was stunned. He never expected the legendary one-slash-swordsman to notice him. Lai Yinhati openly admitted he was inspired, turning the stream into a major event. Subalu grew wary, wondering if Lai Yinhati knew about the trouble he'd caused before. A public offer to collaborate was made, pushing Subalu into a choice that could change his career. Subalu stayed silent, scratching his head. He'd never planned to climb ranks through fame. In the end, he refused, citing focus on challenges and personally passing up a rare chance. Exhausted, Subalu left the stage, handing the wrap-up to Hao Qian, showing the true cost of victory. Hao Qian called after him, but Subalu turned away, choosing not to look back on his decision. Teammates questioned him in shock. Partnering with a top rank was basically a guaranteed fast track. Subalu replied calmly if rank mattered that much, he'd climb it himself with pure strength. Hao Qian acknowledged the performance and promised revenue sharing, closing the turbulent stream. Subalu admitted the draw was optimal, only that kept both sides on equal footing. Subalu quietly stepped aside, knowing the result was set and only its interpretation remained. Win or loss no longer lay in numbers, but in how the story would be twisted. Elsewhere, an enraged punch slammed down, signaling someone could swallow this ending. The Golden Lion Guild Master Lai Yinhati revealed himself, seething that a rookie dared bruise his pride. A phone dropped with the left livestream notice, the last drop snapping his bottled rage. Lai Yinhati ground his teeth, repeating the name Na Lu Shen Subalu, the one who rejected him publicly. He admitted he'd planned to crush Subalu to kill the rumors, but all calculations were ruined. What Lai Yinhati couldn't bear wasn't lost prestige, but being insulted by a nobody. He turned to interrogate Kang Xiai about the Yisaki mission, needing someone to carry the blame. Before he could explain, Kang Shi was lifted by the throat, becoming an outlet for pure fury. Lai Yinhati coldly questioned him, treating even delay as unforgivable disrespect. Kang Shi was thrown into a wall, body bloodied, knowing one more mistake meant death. Terrified, Kang Shi knelt to beg, swearing to keep searching just to stay alive. Scene shift, a call from a superior rang out, signaling the pressure was spreading elsewhere. Qiao scolded Yuka for her tired attitude, comparing it to how she spoke with Subalu. Qiao bluntly brought up the cooperation offer with Lai Yinhati, calling it an unmissable opportunity. Yuka seriously conveyed Na Lu Shen Subalu's stance. He only wanted to climb the tower, not polish fame. Even after firmly logging off, Yuka wavered, knowing this chance could change Subalu's future. She decided to knock on Subalu's door, telling herself she'd try persuading him one more time. The door swung open. Suddenly Subalu appeared, still masked, keeping distance from the outside world. Subalu asked frankly why everyone was obsessed with Na Lu Shen Subalu, admitting he didn't get it himself. Yukai insisted the most important thing was that Na Lu Shen Subalu was everyone's hope to cling to. She began recounting the past, when she first entered the tower and realized how brutal this world was. Back then there were no resources, no safety, monsters everywhere, survival was a desperate gamble. And there was only one way to live on: keep climbing, no matter the cost. UK explained that climbing the tower brought prestige points, letting players believe they could truly settle in this world. She declared the one standing above all was Nalu Shensubalu, not just for results, but for what he symbolized. Nalu Shensubalu was the first to prove conquering the tower wasn't a foolish illusion. Back in the present, Subalu skeptically asked if Yuka truly believed that story. Yuka dodged the answer, likening that belief to the secret behind Subalu's mask. Subalu changed the subject, politely inviting Yuka inside, accidentally making her even more flustered. Leaving, Yuka tried to calm herself, but her heart raced as she realized she no longer wanted to persuade him. Scene shift to a white room. The system welcomed him as Subalu returned to live streaming, aiming for another win. A major guild sent prestige points and a contact request, signaling growing attention on Subalu. Viewers bombarded him, asking which faction he'd join on floor 3 or if he'd keep soloing dangerously. Mid-thought, the system initialized the third floor challenge, forcing an immediate decision. 2 faction options appeared, a choice that would reshape all upcoming missions. Subalu chose the Kangladi Kingdom, pushing himself onto a road few dared take. Only 3% of players chose Kangladi, a nest of mercenaries in endless trouble. The moment he entered, a thug locked onto Subalu, eyeing him as cheap entertainment. The man deliberately shoulder-checked Subalu, testing how much the newbie could endure. Subalu walked past without looking back, his indifference only enraging the other more. The thug flaunted his rank, mocking Subalu as a rank, trying to crush him with status. Lightning suddenly gathered around Subalu's feet, signaling a fast and clean solution. A precise knee smashed into the jaw, sending the thug flying before he could react. The bully lay flattened on the floor, the crowd stunned by what they'd just seen. Others began eyeing Subalu, while a few Hothids moved in for revenge. Surrounded, Subalu stayed silent and observant, as if this were just a minor test. In the end, the whole group was beaten down, their initial arrogance turning into fear. A man appeared claiming to be Re-Men, an appraiser, officially turning his attention to Nalu Shen Subalu.